Advocate Network webinar. I'm Rick Schloop, and before we move forward, let's first open with a word of prayer. Father God, it is a privilege to gather this evening on this webinar, and I first just want to thank you that you are our Lord. We love you, and we commit this evening to you as we celebrate what you've done and as we share about future plans. We want to prayerfully place all of this before you. We are stewards of your work through the Ministry of Compassion, and this is all yours, and we want to give you all the glory for what you continue to do through this ministry. I thank you for each advocate and their faithful service. I praise you, Lord, that we are your children, and we just commit this time to you, and in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. First of all, thanks so much for being a part of this webinar tonight. We're excited to have you join us. And before I go any further, I want to do some introductions. With us on the call tonight are Amy Coddington and Karen Spencer, who are both ministry managers. Amy's on the webinar from Colorado, and Karen is in Tennessee. And also joining us is Diana Torgerson. She's the Advocate Network Specialist, and she lives in Colorado, and I'm coming from Ohio. So we are spread out a little bit across the country, as are you. And I see that our attendees are still coming in to this webinar. So we're really excited to have you join us. We have some great things to share tonight. So thanks for making us a part of your evening and being a part of this. First of all, some housekeeping details before we dive into the content. Every one of the advocates on this webinar, each one of you, you're in listen-only mode, so that eliminates any background noise with this webinar. So you're good with that. You are all muted for this webinar tonight. Secondly, we invite your questions. You can please type them out in whether it's a question box or a chat box, whatever it looks like on your screen. You can type out your questions during the webinar, and we will be responding to specific questions related to the slides we're currently on. So please feel free to ask away while one of us is presenting. I will be monitoring those questions, and we'll try to respond to those questions while we're on that topic during the webinar. Also, rest assured, we'll also try to get to all the questions by the end of the webinar. So if there's anything that's maybe even not entirely related to one of the slides or something we're speaking on, we will try to address that at the end of the webinar. Third, this webinar is being recorded, and we will make that link available to the advocates within the next 24 hours. So we'll put that link on Facebook. We'll get the link out. It will be in e-news as well, so it will be made available for people to access this recording. We have much to celebrate, and we thank you for your impact as child advocates, because these large numbers that are on your screen right now couldn't have happened without your faithful, tireless service as advocates and as voices for the children. Just love this picture of kids being kids, and a lot of what you do as advocates is exactly this, the joy that's on these kids' faces. This is why we do what we do. This is looking back. Fiscal year 2014 ended at the very end of June. July 1st started fiscal year 15. So even though this is later August, we're looking back a bit here, but there were nearly 159,000 sponsorships brought in through just Compassion USA, and that surpassed the goal. The goal for this fiscal year, going into the fiscal year, was 156,000. I know we had some of the strongest months ever in our history, like when we got into May. The month of May was just incredible. So we finished very, very strongly, and that is shown here with these numbers. And also in revenue, and this is non-sponsorship revenue that has come in. The goal the goal for the fiscal year was $485 million approximately, and we, Compassion USA, and when I say we, it's all of us, brought in more than $492 million in revenue. You look at these large numbers, you look at those numbers of sponsorships, the revenue that's come in, but it gets back to every single child matters, every single donated dollar matters, and goals are significant. And I think I was reminded of this as I looked at this slide earlier today. I was reminded that our goals, Compassion USA, for example, we get these goals at the beginning or near the beginning of the fiscal year. Those goals are actually tied to what's taking place in the field, because the goals are created in collaboration with the field. What the field is allowed to register in terms of kids into the Compassion program. Countries that are part of the Global Partner Alliance, which are the countries which find sponsors for children, raise funds for the ministry, countries like the U.S., Australia, Canada, Germany, France, Ireland, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, and I can go on with those. Those are what's called the GPA, the Global Partner Alliance. And each of those GPAs receive goals starting the fiscal year, and those goals are tied directly to the field and what the field's going to be able to register in terms of kids entering the program. It's also related to growth. So as new projects open, that's part of these goals. And so when you look at it in that perspective, in that light, hopefully you see and I see the significance of what each of those represent, because each one represents a child that is going to be given hope and opportunities that they wouldn't get otherwise. So I just, again, want to thank you for making a difference. You're impacting lives. And also, it kind of allows me to think about, with advocates, and the importance of goals in our own advocacy. Remember that those goals that we set, maybe our personal goals for ourselves, those are also tied into what's going on in the field, because each one of those sponsorships represents a child that the field is able to register and invite into the Compassion program, and then the ripple effect of that in terms of changing lives, not just the child's life, the sponsor's life, the child's family's life, the neighborhood, the church, so the impact is significant. So thank you for being a part of that. These are truly numbers to celebrate. And so I just continue to praise God for each of you in your significant service that's impacting lives for eternity. At this point, I want to turn it or transition over to Karen Spencer, and we're going to start going into some of the content of the webinar tonight, things that are coming up. So Karen, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Good evening, everyone, and hello to all of those who are joining by the link afterward as well. We're so excited to be able to connect with all of you and to share some things that are upcoming. And right around the corner is our next Experience Compassion Conference. Many of you know that when we launched the Experience Compassion Conference for advocates and sponsors a couple of years ago, it was with the intent that we would have a national field conference like the one that we just held in Colorado Springs at the end of June, as well as take it on the road and try to replicate it in different cities across the country. So, for example, earlier this year, Amy and the team hosted an Experience Compassion Conference in California. Rick hosted one in Portland as well as Chicago. We had the one in Colorado Springs, and our next one is in Pennsylvania the weekend following Labor Day. So it's just under 3 weeks away, Saturday, September 6th. So you can read more about it there, but I strongly encourage you to visit the website that we've got listed on the screen. So it's compassion.cevent.org. chadforward.com/Pennsylvania. You can also find that link on our Facebook pages as well as our e-news and other e-blasts that we send out to everyone. But explore that, explore the agenda. We really have a rich content squeezed in with another fabulous opportunity, and that is for the first time with our Experience Compassion Conference, we are pairing it with our mobile experience. So that weekend, from Friday through Monday, we will have the launch of our brand new Compassion Experience trailers. Thanks, Rick. So these two events are really in tandem with each other. Just like the earlier conferences, we will have wonderful speakers like Scott Todd, Naomi Kramer-Overton will be sharing about our Step Into My Shoes curriculum. Greg Berge will be there speaking. Bobby Sanders will be speaking about our youth programs. So rich content along with the mobile experience parked in the parking lot, and this is our opening weekend for our brand new trailers. As many of you have heard, we have been touring the same trailers these last 2 years, and we're about to launch a second version of it. And this new version will have 2 trailers that can be parked together or can be at 2 completely separate locations. And that's what's going to happen that first weekend. One of the trailers will be at our Chadds Ford Compassion event following with the Compassion Sunday the next day. And that trailer is featuring our newest stories. So Jay Mbiro from Kenya, many of you have met Jay when you volunteered at different events, at concerts, or at churches. He has such a powerful testimony, and he will be there as well as his story featured in the new trailer, as well as Kiwi Vallejo Cook. And Kiwi's from the Philippines. She also has such a powerful testimony, such an engaging young woman, and her story is in the same trailer as Jay's. So as people attend that new trailer, they can choose Kenya or the Philippines and learn about their lives. And both Jay and Kiwi will be at our conference speaking to the advocates and sponsors that Saturday afternoon and evening, and they both will be speaking at the Compassion Sunday the next day at Chadds Ford as well. Simultaneously, that same weekend in Maryland, we'll have the other half of the new mobile experience trailers. That second trailer, or the second half of Mobile 2.0, will feature Julian Alam's story. So she's also featured in the first trailer. So Julian's from Uganda, and again, some of you may have met Julian this last year. She was, after she graduated from Baylor, she was able to travel with the experience to several locations and share her testimony at those churches as well. And Ruben's story from Bolivia. So the second part of the new trailer will have both Julian and Ruben in one trailer, and that's what will be parked at the Fulton, Maryland location that weekend. And then Jay and Kiwi stories will be featured at the trailer that's parked at our Experience Compassion Conference. So if you haven't registered yet for the Experience Compassion Conference, and you can get to the Philadelphia area by car, by train, by plane, by bus, we really encourage you to. We have been praying for some time to be able to have a presence in the Northeast area, specifically to bring advocates together, to encourage you with that time face-to-face with one another. And I think it's so exciting that not only were we able to find this location thanks to Nicole Goodsald and Mark Palingra. This is at Nicole's church, actually, in Chadds Ford, but also just praying for an opportunity to have something new specifically for you. So a great opportunity to come out that weekend. I want to continue talking about the mobile experience, though, because you've heard about it over this last couple of years. And we, just like Rick just shared, these other updates of the amazing response to to what God is doing in people's hearts and His rescue of children this last year, we wanted to share some amazing updates about the impact the mobile experience has had. And you know, our goal with the mobile experience was, if we can't get people to the field to see poverty in person and to meet these precious children face to face, how can we bring it to them and make it real in person? So we just want to celebrate tonight that by the end of June, so again, by the end of this fiscal year, more than 10,000 children were sponsored as a result of people walking through our mobile experience. So that is absolutely incredible to think that 10,000 children were sponsored because people got to see it and experience it in a way that made it so real they had to act. That is certainly answered prayer. The team that has been with this first mobile experience, those two semis that have been driving across the country, have traveled 20,000 miles, and they have stopped and parked and opened their doors in 33 cities across the country. So we are so thrilled, along with all of you. If you've had a chance to volunteer in any capacity and serve in any capacity with the mobile experience, including praying for the mobile experience, we just want to express our appreciation and our thanks and celebrate with you. We know that volunteer coordinators, for example, have spent so many hours sending emails and responding to people's inquiries and making sure all of those volunteer shifts are filled. I think it takes over 100 shifts for some of those weekend events because it's over 4 days and usually has a Compassion Sunday tied to it as well. So thank you to all of you volunteer coordinators who have worked tirelessly to do that, as well as those of you who have come out to volunteer and serve and interact with the people that have walked through. Thanks to all of you who have brought friends or family or pastors. I know of an advocate in Louisiana who drove his pastor a couple of hours to be able to walk through it so he could understand Compassion's ministry beyond what he had been able to communicate so far, and that just changed everything for him, as well as all the emails and ways that you've shared the mobile experience as well. So that's where we're at to date, but now that we're about to launch our second version, or 2.0, we have dates all across the country coming up. Our 1.0, our first version, is going to take a little bit of a rest for some repairs and updates, and our 2.0 will start again with our Experience Compassion Conference. And you can just get a quick glimpse at the screen here for any locations that jump out at you. But I just want to remind you of a couple of places to take a look so you can know exactly where the mobile experience is going next. Don't forget to visit compassion.com/change. That, when you click on that website or that link, you'll be able to see all of the upcoming locations, especially as they're updated. So these are changing regularly. New locations are being added, as well as specific times and things like that. But also, if you look at the bottom of your screen, compassion.com/change resources. That's where you can actually download promotional material for each location. So, for example, York, Pennsylvania. If you're in the Pennsylvania area, you're close to York, you want to start promoting that particular event. You want homeschool groups in your area, honors students groups in your area, Sunday school classes, friends, family, etc., to come out to that event. You can actually download York-specific material on that link, compassion.com/change resources, to be able to either copy and paste into emails, to be able to print, to be able to post on Facebook, all sorts of things that are customized for that specific location. So please check that as well. And don't forget, too, that we are prayerfully looking at other areas to be able to host the mobile experience. So you'll see there's a couple of weekends on here that are not filled yet. For example, that October 24th weekend, we're looking for something kind of connecting the dots. You'll see the weekend prior is in Michigan, and the following weekend is in Tennessee and North Carolina. So those trailers are splitting across the Smokies there to straddle that state line. But ideally, we would find something between Michigan and Tennessee and North Carolina for that weekend prior. So as you become aware of opportunities, potential leads, especially new churches that have potential for hosting the mobile experience, please reach out to us. Let us know. Amy, Rick, and myself would love to kind of vet the location, make those introductions to the mobile experience team, and see what it would take to get there as well. So I'm just going to pause here for a minute, and don't forget, at any time you can type in your questions. So if you have any questions about the upcoming Experience Compassion Conference or about the mobile experience, now's the time to ask that. And Rick, if you see any questions about those topics specifically, let me know.
Yes, actually, I have a couple questions. One goes back to when I was sharing about fiscal year 14 numbers, and somebody asked how many children were sponsored at this time worldwide with Compassion. And from what I understand, we're heading toward 1.6 million, so we're somewhere in between 1.5 and 1.6. Do you have a more specific number on that? Any of you, Diana, Karen, Amy?
I have.
I just heard.
Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, Jimmy Miato just spoke to this at the Global Leadership Summit, and he did use the number of 1.6 million.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is something to celebrate.
That is great news. And a question, and I do want to throw this out there because I want to be totally upfront. The question came in about when I was sharing about the revenue that came in at more than $492 million. And I know this sounds pretty incredible, but I just assumed that was non-sponsorship monies. So I was thinking it was anything that came through fundraising, gift catalogs, CIVs, and all of those type of things. We will check on that to just to make sure. But Karen or Diana, do you know for sure if that was non-sponsorship revenue or if sponsorship revenue was included?
Rick, I actually thought that included sponsorships. So
okay.
let's confirm that, and that's a great opportunity for us to follow up after the call.
Okay, so we will do that, Scott, and I think it'll be good for others to know that as well, because we want to be totally, just totally accurate with what we share. It seems like somewhere along the line I heard about that non-sponsorship revenue, but that could have been something else I was listening to. But we will confirm that one way or another. And this person says, I'm curious, how did the mobile experience do at its top in Othello, Washington? Sponsorships, response? I'm not sure we have that information available. It would be the mobile experience team that would know that. Unless any of you have any ideas.
No, I can type a response to you. I know Scott Mays asked this question, so I'm just going to direct you, Scott, to an email, and you can get those numbers directly from one of our contacts with the mobile experience.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Amy. And then it says, Karen, it looks like you have more here. The dates showing are when the trailers are open. Is there a start and end time?
That's a great question, and that will vary per location. So that's something to keep checking on the main page, the main landing page for the mobile experience, which is compassion.com/change. And then you find the location, and once you click on a specific location, you'll see times posted. So if there's no times, that means they haven't finalized the opening times yet at that particular church, and they're still in communication with that. And then our volunteer times will vary a little bit from the opening times because we want to allow for training. We want volunteers to be able to have the opportunity to walk through one of the stories before being trained on their specific role and before that shift starts as well. So volunteer times don't necessarily match the open times for each location. Typically, just what I've seen across the Southeast and South Central regions, the weekdays like Fridays and Mondays would be open from 11 to 8, that type of range, unless they have some confirmed school groups that are going through. And then weekends are typically mid-morning or early morning until evening time, and especially if there's a Compassion Sunday, which is usually our requirement that the host church have a Compassion Sunday in tandem with hosting the trailers, then that would start fairly early in the morning, around 8 o'clock, getting everyone trained so that by the end of that first service, we're ready to go with people coming through, and typically open until about 6 on a Sunday. But again, just check for each location, and the information on that Change Resources tab, any customized information usually includes the times as well, especially closer to the event. Those times are confirmed. So that's a great question.
Great. And then somebody has a recommendation for the October 24th, 27th availability there, and they suggested Columbus, Ohio, which would be great because I'm about an hour south of there. So I will pass that lead on. It's Katie put in the Vineyard Church in Columbus, which is a large vineyard church there, and I will gladly talk to the Mobile Experience folks and let them know about that and see if anything's been moving ahead with that location. So thank you for passing that on. Normally, how soon does the registration open for an event? So I guess that could be Mobile Experience, or I suppose that could fill any event.
Well, if you're talking about the Mobile Experience and registering to tour the Mobile Experience, so most of them have an RSVP link, so you can sign up for your time to walk through. As soon as the times are confirmed, that RSVP link usually goes live. If you're talking about the Experience Compassion Conference, that registration is open now through this weekend. So make your plans soon, look at your calendars, contact some other advocates or sponsors that you might be able to carpool with or share a hotel room with. We'd love to see you at that as well. Likewise, if you're asking about volunteering for the Mobile Experience, then that communication is coming through our volunteer coordinators and our event volunteer managers, and usually as soon as those hour times, the open times are confirmed with the church, then those shifts are entered. So, and it depends how far in advance we've solidified this location too. So usually about a month out is a safe call for registering for volunteer shifts for the Mobile Experience.
Good. Thank you. And we had another question about the $492 million. What were the major sources of income with that? And let's respond to those to everybody that's on this webinar, and put that information together. So I just want to make sure I'm totally accurate with what I'm saying, and the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that does include sponsorship money. So we just want to confirm that. But I do know, like in the past, when there are major disasters, the money that comes in for those significantly impacts that amount. Obviously, when the earthquake hit Haiti, the typhoon, the typhoons that hit, tsunamis and things like that devastate people. I know that impacts that number often from past years. So we will break that down in a very clear way for everybody. Okay, yes, is there a way to know what stories are at what locations? Talking about the mobile experience, in case you had visited the mobile experience and you wanted to see the news stories.
That is a great question. I don't know typically that we would be able to identify that. You would know if it's the new trailer if you see 2 locations listed for the same weekend. So for example, these weekends, that first couple of weekends in September, when you see there's 2 separate locations, and you know that's the new version and it's split. So we happen to know for that first weekend that we have Jay's story and Kiwi's story, that specific trailer, because we have. That's not necessarily the case every time. So that would be an easy email closer to the event that we could ask. So if there's a specific location you're asking about, we can find out for you.
Great.
And I would also include just being in prayer for Bruco. They are actually the company that has built the mobile experience for us, and it's Bruco staff that they wear compassion shirts, but they are the ones that are driving the trailers and staffing those trailers, welcoming all of us as we show up at each location to volunteer. They are very much compassion partners with us. They're sponsors themselves. Some of them are advocates too. So, but please be in prayer for them as they're putting the final touches on our 2.0 trailer, making their stories come alive. And I believe in the next week or so we'll have walkthroughs, and again, excited about launching that the first full weekend of September.
Great, great. And we do have some other responses here in the question box, and some of them relate to leads for where the mobile experience can be. So we will pass those on to Kayla Mundy and Sandra Little. Those are the 2 ladies who oversee the sites, the host sites, and getting those booked. So we will make sure that they get these leads, and also we have your names attached to those leads. They need to do some follow-up. So thank you so much. And probably the last mobile experience thing is actually Scott Mays did a little math. And thanks, Scott. We appreciate this. He said if these 33 mobile experience stops brought in 10,000 sponsorships, then the average was just over 300 kids sponsored per stop. So that is great news. So thank you, Scott, for that. That exhausted our questions on that. So great questions, everybody, and appreciate the participation. All right, and at this point, we're going to move over to Amy Coddington. Amy?
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
I think so. Great. Well, just want to remind you all about One Meal, One Day. It is coming up just as Compassion Sunday gets regenerated every year, so does One Meal, One Day. So we want to remind you about the website. Keep an eye on this. It's a very simple website address for you to remember, www.onemealoneday with one spelled out. So for those of you who aren't online but can see it here, onemealoneday.com. This is an opportunity to skip a meal to help a hungry child. Challenge your family and friends to join you. In fact, I was just in Peru this past spring with one of the gals, Grace Choi, who won the competition last year to raise money to help challenge her friends and family to, for the money you would spend on a meal, you give that money to Compassion through One Meal One Day to help children who are hungry. In fact, while we were in Peru, we were told that some of the children suffering with malnutrition in Peru did not have that dark black hair, but rather they had what looked like highlighted blonde hair. Now, as you may know, in the U.S., that might be something people do to, they pay money for that to have a certain look. In Peru, in fact, those blonde kind of malnutrition. And so One Meal One Day helps those children in Peru not to have those blonde highlights, that dark hair that's turning a little blonde that is a sign of malnutrition. So consider today how you might this fall challenge your friends and family to skip a meal to help a hungry child. So stay tuned. Look for more information as it comes along. Thanks, Rick.
Sure.
And next, you have another opportunity to get involved. And, you know, I just want to remind you, as an advocate manager and as someone who has had a past in fundraising, that our resources, helping your family and friends liberate their resources to make an impact, is one of the absolutely most important things you can do. Sometimes we think it's sending material goods, but actually it's more beneficial to send our financial resources to make a difference. So just as we talked about One Meal One Day, it's giving our financial resources to make a difference. So it is with Bite Back. So, you know, I know summer is nearly over, actually not on the calendar yet, but I know I have very many family members who have returned back to school this week, some on Monday, some yesterday, and so it seems like summer might be over, and I want to just encourage you that children are still dying from malaria. They still need our help, and summer is still going. So sign up for the summer challenge to take a bite out of malaria. In fact, I have my box sitting here with all my materials, and this is a great way to get family and friends involved because it's very tangible and you can help people comprehend the importance. You know, in our society, in the USA, a mosquito bite is a nuisance, but in the developing world and in many countries, especially in Africa, it is a matter of life and death. And so help your family and friends understand that better. Check out our website, biteback.net, and order the package there that will have all these materials for you. I am partnering with you. Join us on this challenge. Okay, we have another opportunity for a way to raise awareness and raise resources, and specifically resources in the form of a specific gift. You know, in the world of fundraising, this might be called designated giving. You get to choose how your resources might be used to benefit a child living in poverty. And a lot of people, when they're giving to an organization, they want to give something in particular. In fact, I was just recently speaking with a group of sponsors in Reno, Nevada, and they wanted to know what they could send their sponsored child. For those of you who have been advocates for quite a while, you know that, you know, due to customs in our letter writing to children, we really can't send much more than stickers or a coloring page, something simple. But if you want to send a gift that is more comprehensive, I encourage you to mobilize your family and friends to choose something from the gift catalog. Do you see this young girl on this picture with a rooster? I mean, this is a true gift because it's not just a playmate or a pet, but this is a resource for food and livelihood. So some of you I know I've spoken to, and you will have given extra money to help your sponsor child, and they will send you a photograph of a goat that they received as a gift of your resources. So I encourage you, as you think in holiday season, how can you set goals to empower your family and friends to raise up and put away, save money to donate toward Compassion's gift catalog. Remember, this isn't just for Christmas anymore. It's annual and year-round. But since the holiday season is coming up, and as you can see on this page, the catalogs will not be received in the mail until early October. But help your family and friends to start thinking through how to spend money on Christmas gifts. And I encourage you to challenge them to spend it in something that has eternal significance and not something that is temporary for that adds to the shelf here in the USA. Isn't that a great picture of this young gal? I just think she looks so happy and colorful. So that's our new catalog there.
Thanks, Amy. And I wanted to go back to your Bite Back information that you gave. I do have a question here related to that. For people who are used to the price of the Bite Back program being a $10 donation, what can we say to them about the price increase?
Okay, now one situation, if you look in your Bite Back materials, I do believe they are still promoting Bite Back nets at $10 a piece. So there are other places that they are talking about this as $18. So I'm going to ask my Compassion colleagues to help me speak into this.
Yeah, and I can speak into it. The actual price for Bite Back now with the donation, we're asking for $20. So the website has been totally refreshed and updated with that information. It's a different look. So it is $20 now. The old resources, Amy is correct. The old resources say $10, and we would ask you to please recycle those. Don't utilize those at this point. There are new resources that were to be in inventory that we're carrying the $20 donation. We don't want to mislead people with two different donation amounts. I can tell you that $2 out of that $20 goes to the medical fund. So that's a piece of it. Obviously, it's more than a mosquito net, than an insecticide-treated mosquito net. There's also the training, the education, the prevention of malaria. With the part of the funds going to the medical fund for the more extreme cases of treating malaria. And also there's with the education piece, it's not just education about, okay, this is how you put up a net, this is how you protect your family, but there's also some other things as well, and that could include spraying around homes. It could be getting rid of standing water and things like that would prevent the breeding of mosquitoes. So there's a lot more that goes into it from what I understand, and in investigating things about Bite Back, is that it was becoming increasingly difficult to say that $10 provided all this, because it just can't be done in the field with the comprehensive, holistic approach that Compassion takes at the $10 donation mark. So it needed to increase. So that, a key thing in answer to your question, Yvonne, about how do we communicate this? I mean, the key thing is Compassion is holistic. We are a holistic child development ministry, and we approach everything we can holistically. And so it's not just distributing a mosquito net. There's a lot more involved in that. And I think people that know Compassion, it kind of opens up an opportunity to really share how we approach things. We're not a relief organization. Do we provide relief when it's desperately needed? Absolutely. You know, earthquake hits, those people need relief. That's the most immediate thing. But at the core, we are holistic, and I think that's an important thing to communicate, and we're that way about our Bite Back program as well. Also, here's a question about the catalog. Again, Amy, do you want to mention again when the catalog's available? There's a question.
Sure.
When's it available? And it says usually it arrives after other ministries have theirs out.
Well, Clark, I think that, you know, I think we are newer on the end of the gift catalog than some ministries. I will definitely express your response to them, but at this time you can expect to receive it by early October. So I think that's earlier than normal. I know even just a couple of years ago we were coming out with it pretty close to Christmas, and that is in part due to the fact that we were newer in the world of the gift catalog. So the longer we are utilizing this, the sooner we are getting it out. So I think you should expect to receive it by October. But remember that you will be receiving an email in September that gives you an opportunity to respond to pre-order your catalogs. And what that means is you can order catalogs in advance to hand out to your family and friends. While Compassion sponsors will each receive a catalog, you can use this as an advocate to promote amongst those family and friends of yours who are not yet Compassion sponsors. Compassion really sees the gift catalog also in a way of marketing that this is a great entryway for someone who isn't familiar with Compassion to get a foot in the door, to maybe learn more about what we do, and maybe they take that step eventually to sponsor a child. But the gift catalog you can expect to receive in the mail by early October.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
And also there was and I'll just keep going with some of these questions because they're kind of related in this general realm. Scott asked about, you know, future topics during webinars and about estate gift planning and what Compassion does with those type of possibilities, and I think that would be great, and we will pass that on to the team as we consider, you know, future webinars as well. That's great. Thank you, Scott. And then also Diana did do a little checking, and I want to say this now because this is being recorded, and if other advocates are going to be listening into this recording and they don't have access to the clarification about what I created with that $492 million revenue number, please understand that that is just USA. That is not global, so it's just USA. And Diana checked in with Greg Berge, and he felt that has to definitely include sponsorship money in that total revenue amount, but it is only USA. So you may hear a much larger amount in total revenue, and that would be more of the global, but I'm just sharing that about revenue. So I apologize for my misstep there earlier, saying that it was non-sponsorship funding. That is not true. It is total revenue for fiscal year 14 USA. Okay, and we have one more slide before a final question slide. So before Amy shares about this, I just want to encourage you, if you have other questions, we would love to address those before we close out. So please type them in.
Yeah, you all have been so great with questions tonight. We don't always have question askers, so just remember, if you have a question, it's likely that someone else has it, if not just not someone, but many people. So thank you for that, because our effort is to keep you all well equipped and well informed. But this is something new that I think you all will be interested in. We're testing out a new convenient one-page child packet. Check out this photo. This is a front and the back of a child photo that's kind of a three-way fold. And you can see here on the front page the picture of the child, as we typically see. But there it is. There's the letter writing, the second page down. Do you see that? It says, introduce yourself. And then on that third fold down on the left side, it gives the information to receive the person's credit card information. On the back side is the summary of your child, the place to write the letter, and then the information about the sponsor. So you can see here, if you look at each section of the trifold, the top portion is the front and the back of who the child is. The second portion is the letter writing, and the third portion is the form of giving and the sponsor's information. So this helps Compassion save money and reduce time. And they're just going to be tested throughout the fall. So if you are helping out in any event, or if you are ordering packets on your own to find sponsors for children, be prepared that this is happening. And you know, it'd be helpful to receive your feedback about how what you think about these trifold packets, as they are a test section for that. So I see here there's a question, is it perforated? To be honest, Scott, and I'll let my colleagues jump in here too, I'm not sure. I haven't seen them myself. I've just seen these photographs. I would guess they are perforated. Our PR group, Compassion Blue, and all of our different groups doing this do such an excellent job. I think they would make them perforated for easy help, but I am not sure. Rick or Karen,
can you speak to that? Yeah, actually, I had somebody on the event staff tell me that yes, they are perforated. So I have no idea why that came up in the conversation with him, but he told me that, so yes.
Excellent.
And you have several questions here.
Yeah, there's another question. Is the payment information still carbon? Meaning, is there an extra sheet that you write down on and you give that carbon copy to the advocate? Rick or Karen, do you know an answer to that?
I do not. I haven't seen these either, so I'm really excited about getting to see one in the near future. Rick, did you have that question?
You know, we talked about perforation, but we did not talk about carbon. So, you know, I would assume that there would have to be some piece on it, but these are supposed to be a one-page child packet, so honestly, I'm not sure. But I do know that these will save lots of money, which provides more resources for what's taking place in the field, which is awesome. So that's probably a question we can find an answer to.
Yeah, I think that question about is it still carbon and also a prepaid envelope, really good questions. I think, to be honest, you're going to have to wait and see. Like us, we will be happy. I see here all the folks asking those questions, and I know all of you. So I'd be happy to find those answers and get the answers to you. But I think in some ways, be prepared to know that Compassion is prepared for those details, and they want to set this up for success. There is one comment that says it's good to know that there are creative and thinking people at Compassion, and I agree. Because technology and so many things are working so quickly, we do want to be thinking, how can we do this better? So I encourage all of you, when you see change coming, embrace it. I really do encourage you to do that. Also, give feedback if you think the change isn't for the best. In some ways, change happens more quickly now with the rapid changes in our culture and our technology. And Compassion wants to do their very best to be reaching out to people and adjusting to some of the changes in culture so that people can respond swiftly to the needs of children in poverty. Now, I think there was this other question that has to do with the carbon copy, is how do sponsors get a record of their sponsorship at the time of sign-up? I think it could be safe to guess that there's some level of copy that they will get, but we don't know yet, so we don't want to speak to something we don't know. But recognize that Compassion will do everything possible to make sure this is a fluid process. We will get those answers to you as soon as we have an answer. Okay,
Great.
So with that said, Rick, I think we come to the end of our slides, possibly.
Yes, we did, and and you know, we've had great questions throughout. And I'll tell you, just as we have this last slide up, asking for any further questions. Anything that you've posted here, we will follow up with you in terms of anything that we didn't answer, maybe totally because we weren't totally sure, but we will find the answers. We will pass on the mobile experience leads, and I will just make sure with a 100% confirmation that $492 million, that was truly all revenue in via USA. I just want to make sure that we're 100% sure on that, so we'll check with somebody at the Global Ministry Center about those numbers tomorrow when they are in office. And as I scroll through, I don't see, there looks like there's a lot of great comments, a lot of appreciation for the continued attempts by Compassion to try to save money through that one-page child packet. So we appreciate those words and those thoughts. Thank you so much for that. And Karen, Diana, Amy, any final word that you might have?
No, I just really appreciate everyone taking time to join us, and Diana and I will both be at the Experience Compassion Conference in Pennsylvania in a few weeks, so we look forward to seeing as many of you in person as possible as well.
All right.
And you know, while I am here on the phone for the Southwest region, I do want to just reiterate for anyone in Hawaii, or if you're traveling there, how about that? We will be having an advocate gathering the third weekend of September, and if you are interested in attending, please email me at acoddington@compassion.com. That's ACODDINGTON at compassion.com. Same address if you are going to be in the Reno, Nevada area on September 6th. So for those of you over in the Pennsylvania area going to your ECC event, we will be having a modified version of this in this Reno, Nevada area. So all advocates in that region will be getting an invitation, but if you want more information right away, just shoot me an email, and we're grateful to have you on the call tonight.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be left out. I have a couple advocate sponsor gatherings in the works, and one is up in Massillon, Ohio at River Tree Church. Met with Advocate Rob Lane today to kind of work out some details there. It's going to be the first full weekend in October, and you can email me for details on that if you're interested. And also there's going to be one in Portland, Maine. It's going to be a one-day event. There's also a sponsor who's doing a fundraising event there, and so we decided to connect with an advocate sponsor gathering luncheon. And that is September. It's the weekend. The fundraiser by the sponsor is a musical that he wrote, and that's September 19th, 20th, 21st. The 20th is the day of the advocate gathering. So Diana and I will be there, and we will also be up in Massillon in Ohio the first weekend in October. So let me know if you need any details there. we are at the top of the hour, and on behalf of the staff that's led this webinar, thank you so much for being with us during this hour. Just an incredible blessing to be able to share this with you, and we will be in communication to give you the rest of the details that we need to report on. And thanks so much again, and God bless. Have a great evening. Goodbye, everybody.